Yeah. Bitches be ballin' week 13 post trade craziness. Yuri and Kayla are back, and we're going to do a little roundtable today and bring in some of the other ladies from our league to discuss team by team what we think of the trades. How are you doing, Kayla? Did you survive trade okay?
I kind of didn't just because Vooch wasn't traded. I was waiting for Jalen Smith. I was just waiting for the news to come through, and when it didn't, I was devastated and shocked, but hanging in there. How about you?
You had some really good tweet
Thank you.
quips, some good gifs, memes, and then your thing about Brandon Ingram
Oh my God.
was hilarious. Was just killing me. So
That was a
we'll
crazy thing.
and now they've signed him for 3 years. How you feeling about that?
I mean, at least we got him for the long term, but still, it's a bit of a weird situation that we're in, so still trying to make sense of it.
Yeah, as we're speaking, we've got the Sixers, Raptors in the fourth quarter tied up in a really close game. So if I'm looking this way, it means I'm looking at the game. So
Me too.
let's bring in the ladies.
Welcome, everyone.
Hello.
Hello. And let's put up
Hello.
Yuri's presentation. Shout out to Yuri for making all of this, which looks fantastic.
Yeah, I felt like I needed the design person, visual person in me really was craving this look of team by team, who got moved in, who got moved out, position by position with the starters so that we just could kind of grok how each team is looking. So we'll share this on our social. So if other people want this kind of look at the teams post trade, they can do so. So, going alphabetical here, and we don't need to talk about the teams where nothing crazy drastic happened. But at the top is Atlanta, and of course, we've got to ask our resident Atlanta lady here, Emma, what she thinks. How'd the Hawks do?
It's all bittersweet, I will miss Bogey and DeAndre Hunter. True Hawks through and through, but I feel like with the DeAndre Hunter trade, I get the sell high. Obviously, I don't have his medical record, so I don't know if it seems like a castle of cards, or if that's what they say. With his health having always been injured and never really consistent, so I feel like it would have been nice to get something more than swaps that seem like they won't amount to anything as the return pick wise, but Karis LeVert and George Niang have been good so far, and I feel like the Hawks really need another playmaker and another scorer with Jalen Johnson out. So I feel like in the shooting, the Hawks still just don't really have any shooting. So George Niang obviously helps a lot with that. But fantasy wise, I feel like DeAndre Hunter was rosterable. Now he's not. We'll see about Karis LeVert. I mean, I feel like the Hawks really don't have a second scorer, so maybe he really can get some good shots up throughout the rest of the season. So,
Did you pick up anyone up?
I'm trying to remember. I may have picked up Karis LeVert, or maybe I had him on a list of people I was bidding on, but he wasn't the top person. Just I don't think anyone's so must roster that I would had to have them. And then with this kind of weird schedule, I feel like I don't have any of these guys right now, but I don't necessarily. I don't know. I feel like the Hawks were trying to sell high, but they didn't really sell high. So it was kind of disappointing, but
Do you think the Hawks are going to tank, or you think they're going to fight?
I mean, they just have to fight because they don't have their draft pick. So it's better to just the team's still. So many of the guys are still young. Onyeka is finally just starting now. Zachary Ricochet is obviously a rookie. Dyson Daniels is only a starter this year, so I feel like. And then with Mo Gayas, the starter, he obviously only started playing rotation minutes since Jalen Johnson got injured. So, it's not really a winning roster per se, but the East is also bad. So I mean, I think they'll push for the play-in, but it's not like they're necessarily really going somewhere. So
Yeah. You think it's going to be a big lift to Trey being named an all-star,
um,
like
I feel like it's
mentally?
more Trey is being lifted by not being picked as an all-star originally. I feel like
Mm.
he definitely has like he called it oh god, what do they call
Yeah,
it when
he
you're like
coined a term, right?
yeah, and I'm totally forgetting what it is. So when you're like not picked, what's the phrase they say normally? Like
Snubbed?
snubbed. Yeah. So he's like,
Yeah,
"Oh,
yeah.
it's not called being snubbed, it's called being trade." Because Trey is like always snubbed for the All-Star
Yeah, him and
selections.
Devontis. Yeah.
So this is like his third All-Star appearance, I think, and like two of them have been injury replacements, and then he's, had other really strong seasons where he's not an All-Star. So,
Yeah.
um I'm happy that he's an all-star because I feel like he does deserve it. I mean, he's leading the league in assists. He's like, essentially carrying the Hawks offense all season. Not that they're like the world's greatest offense, but still.
Toronto won. They just won 106-105.
We'll take it.
Yeah. Okay. Does anyone have anything else to add about Atlanta? I mean, I think Niang is worth a look.
Yeah, I was actually,
Up.
I was like, I don't know how much I want to say this, but I do think George Niang might be a sneaky, silly season guy. Mohamed Gay kind of filling in that position. Right now, it doesn't seem that set in stone, but I've noticed a lot of like coaches all around the league are mixing up their lineups. It's been a really hard season all across the league to try and predict any sort of patterns and any sort of dependability. But I think I picked up George in one of my other leagues, and I think somebody in our league picked him up. Someone was on my same train of thought and beat me to it. But I think the threes, the steals, he's always been a pretty solid, like his percentages are always pretty high from three. And I think he could be really good for Atlanta. But I don't want to say anymore.
Yeah, I think the biggest loser here is just DeAndre Hunter.
Remember. Yeah.
Ultimately, he's a winner because he could win a ring, and he definitely was not going to do that on the Hawks. And his best friend is Ty Jerome, so they went to college together and won a championship in college. So I think he's a winner in life, just in not real fantasy.
Life. Yeah, definitely, I agree with that. I really like the move for the Cavs from a real life perspective, but from fantasy, it just tanks his value, which sucks. Yeah. Okay. We'll move on. Boston, James Springer's
out. Should we talk about Brooklyn?
Yeah, they were a bit surprising that they didn't really make any moves, but I mean, Ben Simmons was bought out. Anyone have any thoughts on that?
I mean, I remember the LeBron James comparisons 3-4 years ago. Now kind of being bought out, and he won't really even look at the rim anymore. He's still, I don't think he's as bad as people talk about him. Like fantasy, he's clearly not who he used to be. It's just interesting, like seeing his career go from being considered a comparison to LeBron to now a buyout candidate with the Clippers. He's in LA now, which is interesting.
Yeah, they moved out KPJ, so maybe he'll be backup point guard. But I think he's already been ruled out for his first game, so I think he'll likely be rested a lot. Yeah, I don't know. I mean, I had D'Angelo Russell, and I have Keon Johnson as like a silly season, but it's really hard to tell like who's going to get minutes consistently in Brooklyn. It seems like there's a lot of young guys that they want to play. Zaire Williams has been kind of steady, but Clowney like stopped doing stuff.
I had stashed in a couple leagues that I like people had dropped him, and now with like going into the All-Star break, I'm hoping he'll come out healthy and like they'll be trying to lose, so they'll play him more. So we'll see.
Day'Ron Sharpe, I got him. I got as a stash in a couple places too. So I don't know. Yeah, they're pretty
Yeah,
bad.
Keenan's been my favorite so far, but Clown I have stashed in a couple of leagues where I can afford to just hold him. But yeah, it's gonna be interesting to see how silly season plays out.
Yeah. Yeah. All right, Charlotte. Now,
This is
what the heck?
crazy. Oh
All
my
right,
god. What a headache.
Where to start?
Honestly.
Well, as the resident Charlotte Hornet roster in the league, I have LaMelo and Mark Williams. I feel like I had Yusuf Nurkic for a long time, and then I gave up on him, and then I thought I gave up on him too soon when they had no other centers. But then Mark came back, so
Came back.
I feel like the trade to LA would have ultimately hurt Mark Williams' fantasy value because there are just too many. Like in Charlotte, he has the chance to score 30 points, but there's just like games where there's no LaMelo and there's no Brandon Miller, and there's just like nobody to score. But he just wasn't going to get the offensive usage, I don't think. Because you think about Derek Lively, if he's like the Derek Lively to Luka in LA, I mean, that was only like around 100, like in fantasy, where Mark Williams was like up at like 30 or whatever. I'm making up that number. I don't know what it is. But really high, like with these games where he's scoring like 25, 30 points. So if he plays, I feel like for my team, I'm happy for him to be back on Charlotte. But I don't know, he was playing before the trade, so it's not like he was injured when he was traded in the sense where he wasn't playing. So I don't know.
Yeah, but he wasn't like playing every day. Like they were resting him a little bit. I don't know. It just seems like I mean, it was funny that I saw Kayla in our industry Roto League. You pretty much blew all your fab on Musa.
So I actually made a mistake. I didn't mean to do that much. I added an extra
really?
0 by accident. Yeah.
Oh,
I'm just blind. Yeah, I didn't say anything because I was embarrassed.
Oh no!
There was an extra
Okay,
0.
but then he had like 20 and 15 last night, so you can't even be sad.
Yeah, but I just didn't want to do 400.
Sure.
There was a Reddit comment about the roller coaster. Like, we knew Mark Williams was getting traded, so we all added him. And then we knew that they were taking in Nurkic, so then we got freaked out for a bit. And then he has this extremely good game, but then now Mark Williams is back on the Hornets. And then Mark Williams was like marked as healthy, and then now he's marked as out again. So like it's been a whole roller coaster with all these Hornets centers. Like we don't really know what to do.
I want nothing to do with the Hornets, man. Nothing.
Mm-hmm.
Who knows what's going to happen with it? And I unfortunately drafted LaMelo Ball in one of my leagues.
It's a blessing and a curse.
Nobody wants him. I'm trying to trade any top 80 for him, and
you kind of know what you're getting into when you draft him. Like he has such upside,
for sure.
But he like every single season he's had ankle injuries.
And I'm making the playoffs because of him. But yeah, it's tough sledding. But yeah, I guess Miles Bridges is maybe the only one that'll be safe. Not even. I don't know.
Yeah, that or you have to depend on like Nick Smith having, a lucky offensive night, and then he doesn't go 2 for like 25. Like he's one of those microwave type guys. I have him in a couple leagues, and I'm hoping for, better scoring than not. But Charlotte in general it's been a headache. I also I picked up Jackson Hayes in some of my other leagues, and then talking like the LA thing in general, when we get to the Lakers, I also have Austin Reeves on a team who's been winning me weeks. And so now that looks like it's in peril. So this whole situation between the Lakers and the Hornets has been stressing me out. And my hope is that Mark Williams just comes back after the All-Star break bitter by the way the Lakers tried to set his career on fire and plays out the rest of the season really strong. That's all I can hope for, because I have him in 2 leagues as well.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's a headache. But
Kayla, I can't believe I can't believe you fucked up your fab. That is
I fucked up.
hilarious.
Okay.
I'll loan you some money if you need some, sister. I'll help you out.
You know what? I still have quite a bit though. Like I think I have about 400-500 left. So I still have a good chunk, but still, what a fuck up. And I didn't even realize it until I saw I got them, and I was like, oh wow, what a discount. No. So dumb. Oh, and to top it off, I left Reeves on my bench.
Oh,
He got me 80
on Saturday.
points. It was a points league. It was, I think so. Oh my god, what was I doing? I don't remember. And I noticed it at 4:00, and I couldn't adjust the lineup at that point. Like it was on the dot right when it started, like 30 seconds earlier, and I could have done it. But oh my god, I was like,
that was a 45-point game or a different game?
That was.
It was that game.
This is a big I forgot him, and he got me 80 points. Yeah, that was just a different level of stupid, is what it was. But that's okay. I lost to my brother that week too. So. Yeah.
All right, let's move on to page 2. I think Chicago, we're all in agreement that it's the trade that didn't happen that bums us out the most. Because I'm sure a lot of us were holding Jalen Smith in a bunch of places.
I've literally had him all season.
You did?
And when the Locked On Bowl, where there's like this.
Oh man.
Wow.
16 player rosters, and you have the games cap. I've just had him the whole time, and now I'm like, okay, this was for nothing.
Who wants to? Carley, why don't you talk about Chicago? You got any thoughts?
No big thoughts about Chicago, honestly. I'm really excited about seeing Montas Buzelis in the slam dunk contest this coming weekend. That's about all I've got. Zach LaVine, sure. He looks good in Sacramento. That's disappointing that Vooch didn't get traded. Yeah, that's no big thoughts on that.
Yeah, I mean, when everybody was stashing Jalen Smith, I was like, I think I'm going to start picking up Modest because I think he's a youngin'. He's going to get some run. So maybe 3 weeks ago, I started adding him in a bunch of leagues. So I'm stoked about that. He looks really talented. I love that he's shooting the 3 ball.
Stocks,
and of course,
blocks. We went 10 for 10. Did you have him when he went 10 for 10?
Yes, I did.
Glorious.
Very
Patrick
glorious.
Williams is just so bad, so I'm glad they finally were like, okay, let's give someone else a try.
Yep.
I think and P. Will's been playing a little bit better since he's been benched too, but yeah, it's a done deal. And of course, Kayla and I have made no secret how much we love Io too. So I've kind of been holding him. I'm also in that locked on 16 deep roster. I've been rostering Io all season just because he's like, he can just give you a little bit of everything with good percentages. So I'm happy to see him getting more run. Yeah, Chicago. So Zach LaVine trade finally happened. Interesting to see like what happens down the line if Vooch is going to still be getting a lot of run or if they're going to be playing Smith, maybe little Zach Collins a little bit more down the line. But yeah. I think a lot of fans want him to tank so that they can get Cooper flag, but yeah.
I don't know why they wouldn't tank. They're just like if the Hawks had their pick, I would be like, please tank. You're not good. But same with like Toronto right now. Like they just won, but like why? To what end?
Yeah, there's no point.
Yeah. Well, Cleveland didn't do a lot, but I think the consensus is they made their team better by getting DeAndre Hunter. So,
yeah, I love this trade from a real life perspective. It's just like we said before with Hunter. It makes them a drop at this point.
Yeah.
No, I agree.
I actually do have thoughts about the Cleveland and Atlanta moves. In that. Yeah, I do agree that they made their team better, but the whole move I feel like George Yang, they sort of like lost a piece. Like he was just so solid. Obviously DeAndre Hunter is like, someone who can start, like, a great starting small forward for them. And I do think he's a good piece, but here's the crux of what I'm saying. I've seen DeAndre Hunter play against Boston in the playoffs, like live and in person, and that ain't it. I mean, he may have improved a lot in the past, 2 years, but he definitely didn't have it the last time I saw him, up against Boston in the playoffs. And, ostensibly that's, the exact reason that they would want a guy like him. And while he's a good defender, he's a solid defender. But I feel like for someone with that, University of Virginia pedigree, like he's not like an elite defender.
I guess the thing with like an elite defender is it just costs so much to get them, and the cost to get DeAndre Hunter, I feel like, was relatively cheap.
True.
And I feel like, the Hawks defense has always been so bad that it's been like, I feel like more pressure on him, where with Evan Mobley and Jarrett Allen, I feel like there's
you're absolutely right, and I do think it's an improvement for for the Cavs, and like I like the move, but I think it's maybe not like the panacea to
stopping Jason Tatum.
Stopping Jason Tatum and Jaylen Brown. That's it. That's all I'm saying. I'm not like, I'm just being like a Tishbet devil's advocate in that he's he's not a magician. He's a good player, but that's it. That's all I'm saying.
Yeah. No, I don't disagree at all, but I think it seems like the Cavs are still one of the more well-rounded teams. I mean, what's scary is that Donovan Mitchell doesn't have to do everything anymore. And Evan Mobley clearly took a step or maybe even two. So that defense that comes from him and from Jarrett just being really solid is what's scary to me. I'm just annoyed because in one of my money leagues, I had Max Strus as like a sneaky, contribute all across the board. Like
bless up.
And that's done. Dropped him a couple of days ago because now DeAndre is here, so that annoys me. But the Cavs, man, they look good. Like Darius is back to being a really solid guard, and Evan Mobley is clearly a star in the making. So who knows what'll happen?
Crazy star in the making. Yeah.
Okay, we'll jump to the next one because this is pretty big. The Mavericks. So many words and so many thoughts, but I want to hear from you guys. Luca for AD. Thoughts?
Fire Nico. Fire Nico.
I would legitimately stop being a Mavs fan. Like even as someone that is so diehard about their team, I would
totally.
Until new management, new ownership, like that is ridiculous.
Yeah. And the thing that's really crazy about it is Anthony Davis is a really good basketball player.
Oh, for sure.
He's been having a good fantasy season, honestly.
Incredible.
Yeah, he's not a scrub by any means. He's an all-star. He's probably a first ballot Hall of Famer. I find a poetic irony in his first game in a Mavs jersey. He's balling out, and then it's potentially done for the season, like a few minutes later. Which is the issue with when you have an Anthony Davis on your team. And so I'm back to, if I'm a Mavs fan, fire Nico. Like I'm done.
Apparently, people were saying that like everyone felt pressure to get him on the court with all the backlash, and they might have rushed him. And because like he's been pretty good about like injury up to this point. So, yikes.
Yeah, that's not good. That's definitely the nail in the coffin right there. If he's done for the season, oh my God.
That's it.
That'd be horrible.
That's it.
Win now. That was a win now trade too.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, it's just crazy though. Like the fact that people are actually like threatening Nico's life. Like this is just a game. You know what I mean? Like, yeah, fire Nico, whatever. But like the fact that like he's has to get security around him and like the Mavericks, like that's nuts to me.
Is it?
People
No.
always take things. People always take things too far, but it
Yeah.
just. I mean, it just feels like it just doesn't feel like if you think about it rationally, like how could you do that? Like it just makes you feel like there's something nefarious going on that it can't just be like. But it seems so irrational to like everyone. Like why would you
Yeah,
do that?
or like some sort of serious like personal beef that we don't, you know, like.
Yeah. Yeah, it's a hard one. It's a hard one to explain. It's a
I
hard
mean,
one
like,
to
there's
sense
something
of.
to come out. Oh, sorry.
You
Go
said
ahead. I'm
what?
cutting out. No, it's okay. You go ahead. I'm cutting out here.
Oh, did we lose Kayla?
No,
I think
she's
you're saying
still
you
there.
can go ahead if you were saying something because
Oh
she's
yeah,
losing
no,
her connection.
yeah. I was just saying it's definitely like we don't have to get into all the conspiracy theories, but like waking up to the news that Luka Doncic is a Laker is definitely wild. I'll also say like I actually like Max Christie as well. I think he's a really good player. I think he's a piece that Dallas is probably going to grow to love as well. He seems super talented.
Absolutely.
And I think he's going to be a solid player. He's going to have an awesome career. It's also unfortunate that it seems like Daniel Gafford and Derek Lively and PJ, like there's a lot of injuries happening in Dallas right now on top of the drama of losing Luka. And so not only is it like a win now or next year at the very least, but the injury bug has shifted from the Pelicans over to Dallas, which is unfortunate for them.
Great for my Kyrie Irving stock, but otherwise,
Yeah.
not good for the other guys.
I picked up Max Christie in about maybe half my leagues.
Smart call.
Yeah, which that's cool. You know, I'm sad that he won't be playing with the Lakers when they get the makeup games from the Fires. I'm still a little bit bit about losing that week because of losing the games because of the Fires in LA, but I'm mostly teasing. But yeah, no, Max is incredible. I could not believe that they made such a great draft pick, you know, what, I guess 3 years ago, and then picked Jalen Hood-Schifino the next year. But, you know, peace to him as well. All the best.
Yeah, I
Max
think there's
Christie's
going to be
balling out.
I think there's going to be a lot of bench players that are going to get some run in Dallas because of all the injuries now. So, I
The
don't
next
know.
prosperous season.
Fire
Yeah.
up Najee Marshalls.
Yep. Najee Marshall. I mean, Caleb Martin should be active soon for them too.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah. All right. Well, Detroit, you know, not much happened. They got Denny Schroeder and Lindy Waters third. So I doubt Lindy Waters is going to get much action, but looks like Denny got a few minutes in today's game. So let's keep the train rolling. I mean, God, this is going to be like a 3-hour podcast, which is fine. I mean, everyone else had like 3-hour trade podcasts. So, all right, Golden State Warriors. This is my team, me and Bethany's team. So, Bethany, how are you feeling?
I think it's a good trade because we're swinging for the fences. So even if we miss, at least we swung, and we didn't really give up anything. I think like none of our assets except for one first rounder. I actually think it's kind of a steal and a no-brainer. The contract is a little much, but it aligns with everybody else like Steph, Dre, and Kerr. From a fantasy perspective, I don't think it actually affects much. I think Jimmy's numbers will go up, but knowing the Warriors' medical staff, like he'll probably sit back-to-backs. If the Warriors are doing well and they feel like they don't need to win a game. But I think overall positive, and we're 2-0 since.
Jimmy's numbers are going up from 0, so
Yeah.
Yeah, that's
Only up from here.
with a bullet.
He's also had like even when he played, he's been like phoning it in. It's been like
Yeah.
horrible.
Yeah, I
You
mean,
think?
got his joy back, guys. You know.
Exactly.
I mean,
also-
honestly, I already see like the positive impact that he's having on other players, like Buddy Hield, you know, like Buddy looks fucking awesome and Pods looks great too. It just seems like, you know, Steph is obviously like feels way less pressure to have to be the guy. I'm very encouraged. I feel like in a real life perspective, this was a good move for the Dubs, and I'm encouraged about how we're looking out there. So, yay!
I'll
Let's
just
just hope
inter-
that Wiggins stays happy. That's the main thing.
for sure. I'll just interject as a Miami fan. Who, you know, loves Jimmy, but understandably has, you know, been very frustrated at long length with Jimmy. But I'm thrilled for him. I'm thrilled for the Dubs. I'm thrilled for you guys. I'm thrilled for all their teammates. I think that Jimmy, honestly, I don't think that we've seen the best of him since like the Dame trade fell through. Jimmy's not an ideal number one. I think he's a perfect number two. I mean, he is, holy cow, he is such a dog. And I hope that, you know, he just makes you guys so proud in Golden State. Like, I hope they can, you know, make some noise. I'm not, you know, holding my breath, but they look fantastic, you know, the tiny bit that we've seen.
Yeah. No, they look great. Are you like, so are the Warriors fans not concerned about like how old the team kind of looks? Like, is there any trepidation? I'm looking at Draymond. I'm looking at
We've
Jimmy.
been old forever,
Like,
Jess. So it's
Okay.
nothing new. I think we've kind of resigned the fact that
Yeah.
these are our twilight years, and if we can make a run for Steph, if anything, like I'm really glad that we swung and we did something big because he deserves it.
Go for it. Go
Like
for
for
it.
who else
sure.
was out there? Like Levine, like he's 29, but like I don't think you get the playmaking in the defense from Levine. So like,
Yeah.
I don't think there was really anyone out there where we can get younger.
Pascal
I mean,
was out
Giannis,
there for you guys early. Pascal
Who?
was an option very early. Pascal Siakam,
Mhm.
like during the offseason, that was
Yeah.
that was discussed. And also, Bethany, I'm not going to take the Canada slander personally. When I look at Andrew Wiggins and you say you lost nothing, I'm just
I know.
Well,
What's
I
happening?
I was talking more
Not
about
Maple
like,
Jordan.
I'm not
I
going to
was
take
talking
the
about
Canada
more like
disrespect.
younger assets, like Kuminga, Pajemski, like more picks. I mean, losing Andrew is huge, like especially like defensively. Like I don't think Butler can chase like Luka for the whole game like Wiggins can. When I say nothing, I mean like we didn't give up young
No, I
assets.
totally
Like,
get that.
like if we had traded for Durant, like we would have given up Kuminga, and I just like I don't think that's
Yeah.
worth it.
Yeah.
Like I'd much rather get Butler.
And I'm
Especially
really
since
glad-
Kevin Durant didn't want to be there. That would have been,
Fuck
No,
Kevin
yeah.
Durant, man. Fuck that guy.
you know.
I am really glad we didn't get Vooch either because Quentin Post is a force-facing center in the making, babes. I mean, like he's looking good. So I'm
Why isn't Trace getting minutes? Can we talk
He
about
can't
what's
finish
going
at the rim. He's one of the worst finishers at the rim. Like it's actually crazy.
He's looked good to me sometimes.
he's not
There's
a
a reason
force-facing
the
center.
50-second
That's a
hit,
key word.
ultimately.
Yeah.
He looks good on paper, but like when you actually see him play, like he'll like bobble the ball a little bit, and he can't shoot.
Fair.
Like post can like he can off the dribble sidestep shoot like as a 7-footer. Like like I saw that yesterday. I was like, wow, like
Yes,
it's pretty
please.
impressive.
Yeah.
I wish he got a little bit more rebounds. I don't think he's fantasy relevant quite yet. I mean threes at the center position is always valuable, but he doesn't get a lot of rebounds. He plays like 20 minutes and maybe gets 4.
Yeah, we got Jimmy will get some rebounds. So yeah. All right. Houston. Nothing really happened there, guys. They got Cody Zeller. Big deal. And they waived Springer. So Houston's looking good. Indiana again moved out Wiseman. Otherwise didn't make any moves. Clippers. did a lot of stuff. Who wants to talk about the Clippers? Anyone feel inclined?
Well,
You got Simmons. They got a couple Aussies.
I'm actually hoping
Oi, oi, oi.
CPJ can get more stats and get more playing time because he got a really inconsistent time on the Clippers.
Your guy
feel
Norman
like-
Powell, Kayla, is looking like it's gonna stick.
Yeah, you know
Yeah.
what? I love Powell.
I know you do.
Love him. Former Raptor too, right, Jessica? So we
Yeah.
love him.
Love
He's balling out.
I feel like the players they added were like small steps up for like little to no cost.
Yeah.
I mean, essentially they got paid to take Bogey and give out Terrence Mann. So, you know, I feel like they're been surprised. Like, I feel like the Clippers have been way better than everyone expected this season. So, you know, but they're still like can't really be relied upon. So it makes sense that you wouldn't do anything big, but you never know.
Okay.
Yeah, Eubanks is an upgrade over Mo Bamba.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
yeah. Backing up his Eubanks. Like he's actually really good. So I like Eubanks. So
Yeah.
go Clippers, man. They're doing some good stuff.
Yeah.
I'm kind of intrigued by Bogdanovich. I want to see him stay healthy first. So I have him in a couple
in the
leagues.
Olympics, he was incredible. Like
I
he
know,
was
dude.
He was
like, he's one of the best
incredible.
players in the world. Like
I know. That's
was
why I
just like,
drafted him
oh
a
my
lot.
God.
Yeah.
Yeah.
You know? And then this, I don't know if he just overdid it with the season and then playing that hard in the Olympics and then the next season starting, or if he's just, you know, in his early 30s and now he's
Yeah.
like me, sore and tired and don't have
I'm in
it
my
anymore.
early 20s and I feel like that. I'm only 22 and I'm dying. Like my knees.
Oh man.
Good luck.
I thought Bones Highland was actually gonna be like, you know, a real NBA player a year.
Yeah.
a year.
Yeah, me too.
I thought Bones was gonna be really cool, and I guess not.
Well, the rumor on the streets was that the Hawks were in talks to trade Clint Capella to the Pistons, and they were going to keep Bones Highland. But then when the Clint Capella deal fell through, and they had too much money on their books, so they had to trade out Cody Zeller, they weren't able to keep Bones. So, yeah,
Oh.
Makes sense.
just like so small. It's just kind of hard to be successful unless you're like extraordinary, if you're that kind of skinny and slight.
Yeah.
Yeah.
He's got a great name though.
Amazing name.
Love it. We'll move on to the next team.
Flip it. Yeah. All right, Lakers.
Another interesting one, Lakers.
man.
Let's hear it. Luka
Fire
Doncic.
Nico. Fire Nico.
Fire Nico. Honestly. Oh my God. Every time I think about it, I'm like, wait, that really happened, right? Like it still doesn't even feel like real. You know what I mean? Almost like a fever dream.
Yeah.
Dude, seeing all the shirts and seeing all the shirts at, you know, Staples or Crypto, you know, at the arena
yeah.
last night. I mean, that was utterly insane.
Yeah.
Like, yeah. Anyway, just
I feel like the real condemnation of the trade is when you saw Dirk at the Lakers game sitting with Lucas
Yeah.
Standing. I was like, dang. Dirk has turned his back on you, Mavs leadership, not Mavs nation, I suppose. But I was like, it's unbelievable. It's really
The Lakers got their guy again. We're gonna have to deal with the Lakers for another decade. It's wild time.
Yeah.
Did you guys see the slow-mo play of their debut when Luka spots LeBron James at the top of the key?
yes.
And just lights up. Like, why am I watching footage
Yes.
of Luka Doncic passing the ball to LeBron James? It's terrible.
I had to turn it off. I was like, I can't watch
I
this.
hate it so much.
Emma.
The Hawks drafted Luka Doncic. They should have kept him. He would be
Yeah.
happy in Atlanta.
Oh,
He could be friends for life, but instead, he's in LA. What could have been? No offense to Trey. I love him too.
We're
But
in the upside down. We're in the upside down.
On another note, though, what do you guys think about Jackson Hayes?
I mean, all he has to do is catch love from two of the best point guards to
Yeah.
ever play the game in the history of basketball. You know, that's what I think.
He's got a cool job.
Yeah, I picked him up in one of my leagues. We'll see how it goes because I'm also not playing him that many minutes. Right? I think he's like 24 or 25. He's been effective even in those minutes, but I mean, Austin, Luka, and LeBron, whoever is playing the 5 on that team, they're gonna put up numbers.
Mm-hmm.
I'd be curious to see how much run Alex Len is going to get, if it's going to be a minute split or not.
Probably not much.
Yeah.
He's so huge. I feel like if you're going to the playoffs and you have to guard Jokic, not that anyone on the Lakers can guard Jokic, but just to at least have like a very large person.
Yeah, just a body, right?
Stand there was
Absolutely.
the idea, I guess.
Yeah. And honestly, I think Austin Reeves is going to retain value. You know, I think he's going to be in the starting lineup. So
yeah, I think it's going to hurt him, but I'm hoping for still solid production.
Yeah.
Well, they can keep winning at this clip. You think they would try to rest Luka and LeBron as much as possible, as much as they can afford to, and give more minutes to Austin since he has more health on his side, I guess.
Yeah. Yep.
For sure.
All right. Memphis. They moved out Marcus Smart and Jake LaRavia and brought in Johnny Davis and Marvin Bagley Jr. I think I don't know. Marcus is not going to do that much on Washington, but LaRavia looks like a really good pickup for Sacramento, even though he's probably not going to play a lot. He helps them defensively. So
yeah, good real life move for sure.
Good real life move for
Does
Sacramento.
anyone know why Memphis did this? Because like Johnny Davis sucks.
I think they just
They want to be included.
Get rid of Marcus Smart because I think they just think he's completely washed, I guess.
And Scotty looked good. Like Scotty's actually, when Jaw's been out, in his minutes, he's been quite productive. So
really, he's been fantastic.
Yeah. So I get it.
It's like, I guess a salary dump, but you're really not bringing back much, like at all.
Not at all.
I guess I've heard the idea is to clear his salary and then they'll have cap space in the off season so they can renegotiate and extend Jaren Jackson Jr.
That's exactly what I've heard as well.
But like, couldn't have they waited for the off? Like, I feel like those two players that they moved out could have helped them way more than what Marvin Bagley and Johnny Davis are going to do for you.
Yeah, LaRavia is a really nice young.
Yeah, he can shoot. He can give space the floor, like especially with Ja. And then like Desmond Bane has been like, injury on and off this whole season. I get it moving off salary, but I feel like you could have done it after.
Well, especially to be the second team in the second seed in the West right now. It does. If I was a Memphis fan, I feel like I would be disappointed.
Yeah.
Definitely. We'll move on to Miami. Carley, you probably have some thoughts here, so we would love to hear them.
I'm thrilled that Miami has an identity again. It's like defense first. I'm sad that Jay Rich, that's almost irrelevant, but I am sad for Jay Rich because he was just a great bench guy, and basically I love Davion Mitchell, and I'm so excited that he is, going to be a Heedle. And he looked great. I love that he is super excited about being in Miami and playing with these guys as well. And everyone, Kyle Anderson as well, everyone is excited about playing for Spo. I think it's, I'm not going to go too far into it, but it's obviously super weird to have to uproot your life and, work and family and everything, in the middle of the season.
I forgot to put Slow-Mo in there. Yeah. Slow-Mo should be there on my list. This is not going to be a perfect spreadsheet
It's all good.
Pre-warning.
It's totally all good. But I love him. Like I've loved him for pretty much every team he's played for, and I'm excited that he's there. And obviously Wiggs is, he's great. And this is kind of funny, but I don't know if you guys are familiar with the people with the with like the Twitter account Zodiac GM, but like sometimes whenever there's moves, like I will just look at like the birth date or like birth chart or whatever of different people, and like Wiggs is a good fit. He's a nice Pisces, and there's a lot of earth and water here on the Heat, and Spo is a Scorpio. Water's I feel like there's good vibes. I like the defense first. Let's go. Let's freaking go. That's all I got.
That's awesome.
Oh yeah, right. What up?
Listen, if it makes you feel better, Carly, I think Davion will be okay leaving Toronto in the middle of winter.
Bless you.
I think he'll be all right. Toronto was falling in love with him as well, but then Jamal Shed appeared. Jamal Shed,
right,
came out of nowhere, and it kind of felt like a duplication of roles and kind of identities on the team, I think. And so
totally. And there was like one like monster game that Davion had early, like I don't know, like mid-November or something like that, when like Scotty was out, I think Jamal Shed was out, and like it was like Davion, Ochai Agbaji, like
probably out. Yeah.
Quickly was out. It was one of those things. But like I just remember watching that game and just being like, oh, I love, like, what a dog! Like I love that guy. And so anyway, I'm thrilled that he's in Miami.
I just feel like there's like the front court is too crowded, so just really hurts all of their values, which sucks. Okay, we'll move on to Milwaukee. So, what are your thoughts on Kyle Kuzma? Because I kind of like this fit, but I've heard like differing opinions.
I kind of like it.
Right? There's something
I kind of like it.
Feels right?
Yeah.
I mean, it's a better situation than the Wizards, where like he was ranked outside the top 300.
Kyle Kuzma was one of my most drafted players. I had like 3 players that are drafted on 5 teams. Not that I picked him at like pick 60 or whatever, but it was still really annoying because I'm like, he does not give a shit at all about the game. So he tried less than Jimmy pre-suspension. Just literally, I don't know. I mean, Chris Middleton.
You should be really happy. Like he's got something to play for now.
I already dropped him because I was like, I can't do this anymore because he was so bad. But I feel bad for Chris Middleton.
I wouldn't touch him with a 10-foot pole in fantasy, but I dig it. And, for real life, I dig it. He doesn't have to be, the guy. I mean, he's got, he's like the number 3, if not 4, so I feel like that's ideal for him. He can be, influencer and, a meme player or whatever, and hopefully, add a little bit of value where he is now.
Yeah, I think he'll be fine. I mean, last year he had a really solid season. I get it. He was over losing in Washington and this tug of war, I guess, for usage with Poole. And now, like, he's in Milwaukee. He's got something to play for a little bit. Giannis is unfortunately hurt and will probably be resting quite a bit down the stretch for silly season. And so he might put up some numbers. And even Chris Middleton. I like Chris Middleton. And I'm holding him in one of my leagues, hoping that he's like the old guy on a bad team that just gets to ball out for the rest of the season after the All-Star break. If that's not the case, then sure, like I'll drop him. I also like Chris's game. Now, bilateral ankle surgery in your early 30s is obviously not a good look, and I wouldn't be surprised like, his numbers go down a bit or he does end up resting.
It's okay.
But who knows? Who knows?
Well, for all the dynasty girlies out there, I'm excited for AJ Johnson's move to the Wizards because I think he could be like, he definitely seems like he has talent if he can like develop it and grow stronger. So I think, he was just never to play on the Bucks because they're trying to win a championship, and he's like 19 years old and like 100 pounds. So I think being on the Wizards, they obviously have a lot of young players who need minutes, but
It'll help.
I think that's should be
It's
interesting.
the perfect opportunity for him. Yeah, just to develop his game, especially with silly season. I mean, the Wizards aren't competing for anything, so
Right.
perfect opportunity just to give him some run time, which he wouldn't have gotten with the Bucks
At all. And his debut was impressive, wasn't it? Like 8 points in like 3 minutes. Like, and he was getting to the rim. He looked really good out there.
Yeah, very promising player.
Yeah.
All right, we'll move on to the next. New Orleans Pelicans. So Brandon Ingram going out to the Raptors for some reason. Which, Jessica, what are your thoughts on that?
Oh man, I have so many. You know what? Like, I do feel like, as a Raptors fan, if there's one thing that we've always struggled to do, put the ball in the basket. We've been very tenacious. We've been like harassing on D. Like, it's all of that good stuff. But the offense hasn't always been humming. And I think Brandon will absolutely do that. I don't mind him as like a running mate to Scotty. But the fit for RJ is kind of what's concerning to me. What that means for Quickly, what that means for Grady, it's still to be seen. And I guess that's going to be a next season problem because he's also probably not going to play a lot, right? So the injury concerns make me nervous. But I think Brandon Ingram, when he's healthy, is probably one of the better offensive players in the league. Like, he has the prettiest shot I think I've ever seen. Paul George maybe close second. And I think if it gels well, it can work. And I'll miss Bruce Brown. I'll say it. It's controversial. I didn't mind the cowboy hat and the
I was gonna say I love
Bruce
that.
Brown.
Yeah,
Best fits. Love his fit.
super cool.
Our team didn't, like our fan base. I'll say sorry. Our fan base didn't.
Really? Why?
Didn't get a lot of love on Twitter. Well, you know why? Because when he came, first of all, he's tied to Pascal, and so immediately there's going to be some right losing Pascal, and a lot of Raptors feel like we got an adequate return for Pascal based off of the contract. It was what it was. But then on top of losing Pascal for him, he played through a lingering injury and just looked really bad. His first like month or so on the team, he just didn't look good. So he had to rehab this offseason, and he came back and you could see it. You could actually see it. He looked much better. But yeah, it was a bit of a rocky road, pun intended, for Bruce Brown. But, I wish him well.
Are you bummed about Kelly Olynyk getting moved out?
Personally, I mean, he wanted to retire here. Right? I think he's from Mississauga, so like he's from like around here, and I think his goal was actually to retire in Toronto, and so unfortunately that won't happen. But he's probably going to be retiring from the league in a couple years anyway, so I'm sure he'll he'll be fine. And who knows what the Pelicans are going to do with him? I know. Because they're down so many players and the season really just seems kind of cursed right now. I don't know how much he's going to play or how much he's going to contribute. But I don't know if anybody remembers. I think it was the year that Kelly got traded from Miami and he went to Houston. And he like absolutely.
Oh my God, he was amazing.
He was crazy.
He was fucking amazing.
So I don't know if that's going to be like a similar situation. But Kelly can still play, man. Like he can still put up
Mhm.
numbers. He can score. He can play make. He can't really play defense anymore. He's a little too old for that, I think. But he's still got a little bit of legs, and so who knows what's gonna happen. But like personally, I know. Again, my fellow Canadian, he was looking forward to retiring. Here, it'll just have to wait a couple years.
I mean, the Pelicans are last place in the West. They're 31 and a half games behind. Like, come on, let's unleash Carlo
Are you
Makovich,
serious?
please.
31 and a
I
half?
was waiting for you to say that, Yuri.
Can we
I
just
know you're a big
unleash
Pelican.
Carlo? Come on. I traded away Isaiah Collier for him, and I need him to be unleashed now.
Yeah, I have to drop him.
So that's all I got to say about New Orleans.
Yeah,
I
interesting.
love Jose Alvarado.
Oh yeah, Grand Theft Alvarado, love him. Yeah, they've been like hit hard with injuries this year, which have sucked. But I mean, like it's given opportunities. The guys like Alvarado, right? So
Absolutely.
yeah. All right, so next up. Or,
Knicks.
sorry, anyone have any thoughts? Nothing. Okay, Knicks. Very quiet. They added Wright, lost Sims. Nothing really from a fantasy
I
perspective
think
here.
Mitch Rob will be coming back soon. So
Yes, he's supposed to.
Wow.
Yeah. Even with Wright, like they don't have any depth, but I just don't see him getting the minutes to make an impact.
yeah.
I
They didn't
think
move
they
any of the
probably
other guards
traded
out.
the Bucks traded him because he's just not what he once was.
Yeah, which sucks.
No, I don't know.
Great.
I mean, last year, like he can still be a lockdown defender.
Yeah.
In short minutes. I mean, he really can. And yeah, I mean, he can shoot.
It's tough.
Some
'Cause I
days.
think the thing is, like with Thibodeau, like unless you're in his starting five, no matter what moves are made, you're just probably not going to see the floor, right? Like
Yeah, exactly.
Yeah.
he plays his starting five basically the whole game, and so like the Knicks can get a little bit tricky because that lack of depth opens up potential injury kind of fill-ins. Should folks go down like my OG? Okay, I miss OG Anunoby so much.
Oh, I miss him too.
But yeah, like it's tough with New York, right? Because they look really good. I'm sure the Timberwolves are kicking themselves for letting Carl go, because he's playing some of the best basketball of his career. But yeah, DeLon, I mean, it's tough, right? Because they have Deuce, and then they have Campaign, and then Landry Shamet is back. So that front court, it's crowded, like Kayla, like you were saying with Miami. So it's a little bit tough to see how it's all gonna come together.
Like the only bench players they have are small guards.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Yeah. Josh Hart went off tonight.
He's been going off all
30, 10,
year.
5 and 2. Yeah.
He
He's
has.
been having a season, man.
Nuts. That limited. I didn't watch the game, but Brunson was pretty limited tonight. 22 minutes. It looks like Campaign and Deuce got like 23, 25 minutes. So Philadelphia. Philadelphia. Quentin Grimes got moved in. He seems like he's fitting in pretty well with them. They got Jared Butler, and they moved out Reggie Jackson and Caleb Martin. I guess the thinking with Caleb Martin is Quentin Grimes is an upgrade over Caleb.
Yep.
Yeah.
I think so.
Absolutely.
So, I mean, I don't think they're gonna tank, right? I mean, it looks like they're really fighting. I mean, Paul George is a shell of his former self.
What a bus pick.
You talk about like such a change from one season to the next.
Like the fall off was insane.
And it comes quickly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Jesus.
It's tough, man, because it feels like the Sixers are probably in one of the worst like positions that a team can be in this kind of iteration of the NBA, right? Where they're too good to tank, but they're too old to actually make a run. And then the guy that they're resting, like their hopes on is Joel Embiid. Like, And I mean that with all the love and respect in the world. But it's just, you either just cut the cord and you trade him and you see what you can get back for him, or you free Maxi. But it's really, really tough. And then the tax and the cost for what it will look like to build like a real team around some of these guys, and how dependable or lack thereof, Joel is. And like you said, Paul George doesn't really seem like, the Paul George of yesteryear. So it's a little tough because yes, the East is not good, but it feels like every year they're going to be making steps to get better. And Philadelphia seems locked into whatever this iteration of the team is. But because the iteration of the team is a little bit older and a little bit more injury prone, it's tough. It's tough to say what you do with these guys.
Yeah.
I feel bad for them, but they just won the Super Bowl, so I don't.
True.
Fair.
I don't know. I feel horrible for them. I feel horrible for Joel Embiid. Like, I love Joel
I feel bad for
Embiid,
it, yes.
and I feel horrible for him. He should. I mean, obviously, he should have gotten, the big surgery, not the, fixeroo surgery, and just had to sit out, for a whole year. Totally. Pardon?
Didn't he do that? He did 2 years ago, or maybe like last year, he did the big one, and then maybe smaller iterations of whatever's happening with the knee over years as well.
No, I mean, he needs to have it. He needs to have like basically rebuild. I mean, there's like no Carley. He did like there were two options for the last surgery that he had, and he took, yes, it took what we would think of as forever and a day, to rehab and get back, but actually he could have taken a much longer option that would have probably left him in a slightly better place. I have no idea how that, those decisions are made as far as like with the team and, like who is advising that, but it makes me feel sick for him that he's not able to contribute like at a crazy high level, which I know he wants to and would be able to, if he had, cartilage in his knee, as opposed to just, bone grinding his bones.
Yeah, cartilage in his knee, the bones reconstructed properly in his face, in his nose, in his eye, his back. No, I get it. I get it. I feel for him ish. I mean, he stepped on Scotty Barnes' ankle in the playoffs, so there's only so much I can give him. But I get it. I get it. Like it's tough. It's tough, man. And I don't understand why he was playing in the Olympics. Like why was he?
Yeah.
I need explanations. Why wasn't
I do. He wanted to win a gold medal. I mean, Jesus, he's.
Yeah, but if you're hurt, like, just wait.
Yeah.
Did anyone see him get mad at Kelly Oubre? Like,
no,
not trying enough? It was like on a fast break, and he goes for a steal, and then like Kelly Oubre is like going for a block or something, and then they like get at it at the bench. Like basically, Joel was like pissed at Kelly for not like trying hard enough, but like
was this tonight?
It's
a couple nights ago. I saw that.
Maybe like 3 nights ago. I saw like tweets. I saw like whatever headlines and things, but I didn't watch the video of it. But tell us about it. That's
like Joel kind of goes for a half-ass like reach, like as someone's going up for a layup, he kind of like runs past them, like puts his arm out, and then Kelly's like kind of like trailing behind, going for a block or something, and then like when they get back to the bench, like Joel's like kind of like mocking him, being like, "Oh, you're just jogging back." But like Joel didn't really make an attempt to block either, and then people in the comments were saying like, Kelly Oubre has been trying really hard the whole season, so like people were not happy that Joel did that. But then they like made up like before the timeout even ended. But it was a story because Joel was mocking him.
The audacity. Like, not that I'm a psychiatrist or a psychologist, but I mean, how awful it must feel, like Carly's saying, to like be Joel Embiid, just to have this much talent.
Dude.
And just essentially have your career like squandered. I mean, he's obviously was an MVP, and he'll like everyone will know how much talent he had, but just to like fall so short of your potential still ultimately, I feel like you just
totally
lash out at
heartbreak.
people,
Yeah.
and that's obviously not how you should cope with things. But you know, I'm sure Kelly Oubre didn't deserve it, but I feel like Joel Embiid is just so. I assume he's just so angry and so frustrated at the card he was dealt
Mhm.
that
In the
Yep.
in the toughest place for this to happen too. Like I'm sure
Philly, yeah.
Philadelphia fans, like once they turn, that's when it's gonna get really ugly.
Yeah, and I know he said recently too that he thinks that he has to have like one more big surgery on his knee for it to finally be like right. So it's tough. Yeah, it's not an easy situation for him.
Moving
we'll move
on.
to Phoenix.
Phoenix. Pretty crazy that they were shopping Durant so much around.
Mhm.
And just knowing Kevin Durant, like that's got to be in his head now. And it's who knows what the next part of the season's going to look like with him. I mean, I think he's going to be playing in the next game. I'm not sure, but I think he is.
Yeah.
This seems like a really weird, awkward locker room team happening there with Bradley Beal still being there, and
at least Nurkic is gone for the awkward factor.
at least Nurkic is gone.
Fair. To another team with a lot of awkward factor.
Yeah, definitely. Yep. So they got Micic and Cody Martin. And I put in Nick Richards because it still counts. But Cody Martin can play some defense, shoot some threes. So I could see a minute split between him and Ryan Dunn. I don't know. I just feel like, I don't know what's gonna help Phoenix win more games. I don't think this is it.
I feel like the second worst trade of the trade deadline outside of the Luka trade was Phoenix trading that 2031 first. Everyone's like, oh, they have some exciting trade where they need these 3 picks. But then they didn't. So they just traded their good pick for 3 like 28th picks. So
yeah, it's really weird. And I was also hearing that he's not in the NBA anymore. Like he's looking to go back to Europe potentially. So it's not even like he's going to be able to play and maybe back up Tyus or something.
Oh, really?
Yeah, I was hearing that too.
Yeah, go back to Europe.
Can I just say Ryan Dunn, like for the Dynasty folks, he's shooting better than we all thought. So might be a good Dynasty stash.
All right, Bethany with the Dynasty tips. Nice. Portland.
Nothing.
Yeah,
we'll skip over them. Go to the next slide.
Actually, they waived City Sissoko, I think, in the end.
Oh, they did?
Yeah, I think they did.
Yeah.
I thought they would make a move, but
silly season, pick up Klingon. That's all I got for you guys.
I thought they signed him to like a 2-way.
Oh, maybe they waived him and then signed him to a 2-way. I could be wrong.
Yeah, I think they signed him to a 2-way.
Yeah, either way, no fantasy impact there.
No.
Yeah.
Sacramento. It's our neighbors here in the Golden State, and I think they are just screwed. I mean, they've got no defense. They are just going to score a shit ton of points and hope that they win. And I mean, Keon Ellis, I think, is sustaining some value, which is good because he's their best defender. DeMar DeRozan is going to like just score a bunch of points. Zach LaVine hasn't started heating up, but he could definitely heat up. But again, it's like just a shit ton of points. And
definitely punting, steals, and blocks here.
Yeah.
I think it'll just take some time for him to get adjusted because now he's playing alongside 2 stars, right? So that's going to hurt his overall value a little bit. And then as he gets accustomed to his new team.
Yeah.
It's funny how him and Zach and DeMar have reunited.
Yeah. At least they have a little bit of chemistry though, so that'll help a bit. Interesting.
Yeah. The Spurs. I drafted a lot of Chris Paul, and I'm happy that he's still starting and he's still retaining some value. He had a great game last night, or whatever the last game was. He had like 10 assists. So I'm happy to see him starting alongside Aaron Fox. Fox looks great. And yeah, I mean, I think it's good stuff for San Antonio getting De'Aaron Fox for basically nothing.
They're being really sneaky. It's so funny. I was just thinking the other day, kind of randomly, I was like, why is the league allowing the Spurs to put legitimate talent around Victor Wembanyama? As if Victor Wembanyama is not going to be enough. Like, this is wild to me. Like, De'Aaron Fox and Victor is
wild.
With Devin Vassell, they didn't have to give up Castle. They gave up basically nothing. It's wild. It's wild. Even Keldon Johnson is still on the team. Like, it's actually insane what's happening here. And I know that, the Luka situation really, stole the whole trade season. But this is like, we're going to look back on this, I think, in a couple of years and ask ourselves, why did we allow the Spurs to do this? Because now we have to deal with Victor and De'Aaron, and it's not fair.
Because it's going to be fun.
Totally. It's going to, so much fun.
If you're in San Antonio.
It is kind of weird, like two competitive teams trying to be competitive when you like trade your star to another team when you're not like changing your direction. It is kind of like,
yeah.
Well, aren't you just, you're making someone else better. Is that really in your best interest if you're trying to,
honestly,
make it
I
to the
think
playoffs?
Sacramento's ownership thinks they're getting better. I think they truly believe that they're getting better.
I think you're right, Yuri.
So
not the most rational group.
Yeah, exactly.
Fair.
Toronto. What's the future gonna look like, you guys? Like, are they gonna be good?
I freaking hope so.
Yeah, they are. They're going to be good. The question is, will they be good enough? How will the draft and the lottery play out? I think that's also going to be a big factor here for my Raptors. But I trust Masai. I trust what he's doing. Because Emmanuel Quickley he's a really solid player to me. I really like what he brings to the table. RJ left New York, came here, and the home cooking is clearly working. I don't know how long he'll be around, but he's improved every statistical category, except for the free throws. Brandon, like I said earlier, we'll see what BI brings to the table. That is aesthetically pleasing scoring. I think it's going to help. Scotty is Scotty. I'm always looking for another leap in everything that he does every year. And Jakob was a surprise to me. I knew he'd be important, an anchor at the 5. But if these guys are clicking, I do think we'll be much better than folks anticipate. And it's just going to be a matter of what other moves do we make around the margins. But yeah, I'm not mad at the Brandon pickup.
You know what? Now that I'm looking at this starting lineup too, it's pretty exciting.
This is what I'm saying. It's not.
Yeah.
Kayla, we kind of got something here, man.
We got a good team.
I don't know.
I
like it.
Fantasy
I'm excited for the future. Fantasy, it's horrible for the main
Barnes.
core.
I but you're trying to look for a first round leap from Scotty Barnes, and I think a lot of his assist value is down. Ingram is a very underrated playmaker. I think he averages 5 or 6 assists, and I think a lot of what Scotty brings to the table are his out of position assists. His percentages aren't going to be great. I think this really hurts him jumping into that first round value. And as a Scotty Barnes dynasty holder, I'm actually really upset about that. Yeah, because Quickly hasn't even played that much this year. So next year when they actually have the whole squad together, I think Scotty probably drops to maybe a 3rd round. I don't know. It's tough. I think Ingram is just a pretty good playmaker when he plays.
Fair.
When he plays.
I agree.
Drop is that steep, from potential 1st to 3rd kind of round value, because the way I see it is, and Masai, but our executive team, they kind of said this as well at the press conference. Scotty wants to facilitate with the ball and Brandon wants to score the ball, right? And so what that could mean is that it frees Scotty to do everything else around the margins, right? To get you the stocks and the assists, and maybe even be more efficient when he does score. So like you never know. But I do get like when you're looking at this from a fantasy perspective, if you're just trying to project out, yes, like it's gonna be like bad news all across the board. But again, it depends on the chemistry that happens here, and then what Darko decides to do from the coaching perspective of how he kind of slots all these pieces in together. But if Scotty does really lean more into, that role of facilitating, being the defensive anchor, and doing everything around the margins, and everything else falls into place, who knows? Who knows what can happen?
If there's one thing I know, trust in Masai.
That's
Absolutely.
interesting. Like, I feel like, I mean, I'm not a Raptors fan, but I feel like what I see, I feel like I hear a lot about, like, Masai was like the NBA golden GM, and I feel like a lot. I mean, I could be totally wrong. I don't know enough about the inner workings of the Raptors, but I feel like I see a lot of stuff where people are like, "Oh, Masai's like lost his sauce, like he's kind of not as making the stellar moves that made him so beloved." Or I don't know. Again, I just it's interesting to me because I feel like I read that, and then you both are still so confident in his leadership. So it's
Yeah, I mean, for me, like, I just gotta have faith. Like, he's made a lot of good moves for us, which is why I have that trust in him. But I mean, it's a kind of situation where like only time will tell
sure.
how well it's gonna turn out too, right? But like, yeah, I totally understand. A lot of people have been like, yeah, this is a questionable move. Should he have done it? I don't know, but I totally understand where you're coming from. I think a
Ultimately,
lot
the
of
cost
Raptors
was
fans-
relatively low, the actual trade.
Yeah.
So
Right, exactly.
Mhm.
And if you turn OG into Emmanuel Quickly and RJ Barrett, and if you turn Pascal, as when everything kind of like comes out in the wash, right? Like if you turn Pascal into Brandon Ingram, and a couple picks, and it really only costs you, Davion and Bruce Brown, it's, I don't know. Like I understand there's been a couple less than ideal years, but even in the rough years, we got Scotty Barnes, right? And so if you go back to 2019, he did the thing that he was supposed to do. He got us the chip, and he took the risk with Kawhi. And now he made some moves around the margins to really see what we can do as we rebuild with Scotty. So I do understand that folks are wavering. But even when I look at some of the frustrating parts of what it means to be a Raptors fan, it ends up with Scotty Barnes. So how upset can we all really be?
True.
Well, I'm rooting for you guys.
me too.
Thank you.
We
I
appreciate
gotta
it.
go to Raptors game soon.
Utah. So I think they're clearly tanking, although they have been playing Kessler, Collins, and Markkanen lately. But I think it's let's see, they brought in Jay Rich and KJ Martin, and that's it. That's all that they added. So I don't know. I mean, I have quite a bit of Jazz on my rosters, and it's been a little bit frustrating. I have Collins in Games Cap Roto, so it's not so bad there. And I have Sexton also in Games Cap Roto, so whatever. I just put him in my IL, but Kessler on my head-to-head league is like, it's tough sledding, man, because I really count on his rebounds and blocks, and when he's out, it's like shit.
Did you give up on Keontae?
Hmm?
Did you give up on Keontae?
I did early in the season. I did, and I kind of wish I showed a little bit more patience with him, but yeah.
I mean, him losing the starting spot to Clear is, I don't think that's a good sign. Like, he's a rookie. And he's been really frustrating to own.
Yeah.
Also, if they're tanking, I don't know why they didn't just keep Puchifino. So that's tank commander right there.
Yeah.
They're tanking well enough on their own, I guess.
Yeah, this is another team with so many players that made it out of the trade deadline that confused me. Like, I really
Yeah.
don't
Yeah,
understand
same.
how Collins is still there, how Clarkson is still there. Yeah, interesting.
Yeah, I
Because
thought
they got
Second is just too
Filipowski.
stingy.
They wanted more in return.
You think
Yeah,
so?
it's like, yeah, I think that has to be it. I feel like Danny Ainge is just like overvalues his players too much, and then it's like, well, you're not trying to win, so you might as well get something. Otherwise,
Yeah.
they just expire, and then you got nothing.
Mm. Well, you figure at some point they're going to let loose that like the Filipowskis and the Sensibals and stuff. So,
Oh, for sure. It is coming soon.
yeah.
After All-Star break, yeah.
Silly season is on the way.
100%. Can't wait for it.
Remember when Micah Potter went off on the Warriors? Oh my god, I was at that game and like I was like, who is this
Oh, you-
guy? Like even as like a super NBA fan that plays fantasy, I was like, who is Micah Potter draining threes on the Warriors?
Oh my god, yeah, super annoying. And it doesn't help the way that Josh Lloyd says his name on the recap.
Like Harry Potter. Yeah.
Potter.
I'm like, I hate it.
I think we've got one more page here.
Yep.
Maybe
Last
one
team.
team, one page. Watched it. I gotta say, of all the like stashable players, I think Washington is probably the most fun dudes
Yeah,
to
I agree.
have. Like
For sure.
Keyshawn George, Bilal Koulibaly, who's been dropped like in a couple of my leagues, and I've like haven't been able to claim him, but Bub Carrington, like I'm picking him up again, and I really don't think Jordan Poole's going to get shut down because I think he's leading the way, man, and
Yeah.
so I don't know, they're kind of fun to own.
Yeah, even Sar too.
Yeah.
Love him. And Valanciunas is gone,
Yeah,
so that helps him.
So is
Koulibaly's very interesting.
I mean they brought in more vets, so it could be like Brogdon times 10, but hopefully not.
I'm not
Hopefully,
super worried. I think
Yeah.
they're more like just like a veteran presence, but like I'm not expecting Marcus Smart to get like huge minutes in the second
Yeah,
half.
no
You
way.
know what I mean? Like
No
Yeah.
I
way.
think like very, very minor. I don't see like a huge impact.
No, I agree. And I did see though that the expectation is that Middleton starts after
Yeah.
after the All-Star break. But even that, like, starts playing how many minutes, right? And how much of a disruption would he be to what Poole is doing and to Keyshawn and Bilal. So I agree. I do think this is a silly season treasure trove here of guys that I do really like. You just have to be able to withstand some of the rough shooting nights, I think. I have Bilal on
Oh god.
and I really do like him. And on the night where he's looking good, he's a game changer, right? Like,
Yeah.
Totally.
he piles up almost all the stats. And then on the nights where the shot's not falling, it's a little frustrating. But I mean, Poole is the same way, right? So you just
Yeah.
take the good with the bad.
Exactly.
Totally. Oh, by the way, Yuri, I was able to get off of Jeremy Grant in my 16-team league. I was able to trade Jeremy Grant and I think like Chris Dunn, who was having a particularly hot stretch right then for Nemhard and Bilal, which I feel
Nice.
like the cat who ate the canary.
Seriously.
Needless to say about that nowadays.
Good job. That's a win.
That's a nice
That
move.
is a win for sure.
Yeah, that.
100%.
Yeah. Anyway.
That's awesome.
Any parting thoughts? Like, so let's just go around. Like, who's your favorite pickup post trade? I'll start with you, Kayla.
Ooh. Probably just Sumu. Yeah, I think him. I think he benefits the most from the Levine trade. I've been rolling with him in a couple leagues. I just love his game. So I'm going with him.
Nice. Emma?
I'll go with another bull. I have Matas in a few leagues now, and he is really cooking. So I'm excited for that. I feel like there's not that many like real pickups that are like directly like this
Right
person
on.
was traded and
Yeah.
now there's like a diamond in the rough. I feel like there's a lot of more fringe guys.
Bethany?
So I agree that the Wizards are going to be really fun to watch. I've added Keyshawn George in a few leagues.
Cool.
I think he gives you pretty good stocks, and it's just like it's fun. It's fun to see. Like I think like it's similar to like Bilal in his rookie year, where you're like, there's some like potential here for like a good fantasy player. So I like also like I'm surprised that I drafted Sar and I've like haven't dropped him all year because he's been pretty good, which
Nice.
is surprising given his horrible summer league.
Wow.
Jess?
I mean, I was able to pounce pretty quickly on Diabate in our league, and I think I got him for some of the games that I was grateful for because he's been balling out. But it's kind of obvious. Like I don't want to say Jackson Hay. That's also kind of obvious. Like an interesting one or a deeper league one. Well, not so much a deeper league, but not many people are talking about this. Buddy Hield. I grabbed Buddy
Nice.
Hield, and I do think Jimmy and Steph kind of shifting what's happening on the offense is opening up a lot for him.
Agree.
And he's been putting up numbers. And if he's back starting, playing decent minutes, and the threes are falling again next to Jimmy and Steph, hey, could be fun.
Carley?
Agree. Sheesh. Well, I would say I would have said Dalton Connect, but hey, failing that, I don't know. I guess like Max Christie, who, like I said, I'd added in several places before the trade, just because he was like really, when he was starting for the Lakers and was, really showing some flashes of like being a solid, good player that we thought he could be. So that's cool. As far as the Wizards, man, yeah, Bilal, very cool. I was rolling with Bub for a while in like not just my 16 team league, but in even like in Bitches Be Ballin', I rolled with Bub for a while because I'm like always slightly in need of assists. But my God, his percentages are like, sometimes leave a lot to be desired. Whatever, he's a young player, it's cool. Love Max Christie though, and yeah, I'm gonna go with him.
Yuri,
Nice.
who's yours?
I think I'm gonna agree with Bezelis.
I like it.
Yeah, I think I'm really excited for Bezelis, and I just like all the different categories that he brings, because they're hard to find in a big guy. So, well, all right, guys. Any final thoughts on what could arguably be the craziest trade deadline, trade season I've ever witnessed? Yeah.
Yeah, everybody, say it with me. Fire.
Fire.
Nico.
Fire Nico for sure.
That's the key
Yeah.
takeaway from the video.
For sure. I can't wait for the possibility of like, I don't know, some dirt like, trickling out like about maybe like kind of how that went down as far as who had the beef so strongly with Luca, because like there's something like wild or there's obviously more to that than we were all privy to, but
I agree with you. Yeah. I think a
Yeah.
couple years down the line, like something's gonna come out and then it's gonna be like, oh, so that's why he was traded.
yeah,
I have a feeling. Yeah, because there's definitely more than what we know is going on.
totally. I have one question. Yuri, are you going to any All-Star Weekend events? No, you're not.
Negative.
I'm going to
Right
Rising
on.
Stars on Friday.
Oh, you are? Oh,
Nice.
Yes, the
cool.
only one that I could afford because the Saturday and Sunday ones are like $1,400 for a ticket.
But that's kind of the most fun.
I wanted to go to the 3-point contest because I was anticipating like a Caitlyn, Sabrina, Steph Clay 3-point shootout, but like Caitlyn denied it, and I was like, I'm not paying $1,400 to go watch Buddy Hield shoot in the 3-point contest. So
Right
Their
on.
tickets are so expensive.
Fair.
So actually, I think like with the Rising Star, it's like 200. But I was like, yeah, you know what, like
It's not too bad.
not too
That's
bad,
at Oracle
especially-
too, right?
No, that's the celebrity game is
Chase?
at Oracle, but the
Ah.
Rising Star game is at Chase.
That'll be really fun.
Nice.
Yeah. Are you guys
Have a good
excited
time.
about? Are you guys excited about any of the events for All-Star Weekend, or are you like, ooh, it's boring?
Or I wish Steph joined the 3-point contest. I mean, it's
Yeah.
it's here. Like it's and then also like Draymond and Moses Moody and the skills challenge. That's
Yeah,
weird.
that's really
That's
funny.
weird. Like at least like
That was
take
kinda weird.
Moses out of it and put like Pajemski in there. Like that's
Yeah.
yeah.
Yeah, I can't make sense of that.
Yeah. Well, Kayla, let's not get caught.
Let's keep going.